guys. So as promised, I'm going to be showing you how to do the Houndstooth pattern. Now this is what it's going to look like. And this isn't, exactly Houndstooth, because if you were to do the Houndstooth pattern, it would have to be printed. It's not something that, was ever made to be knitted or crocheted. But this is about as close as we can get crocheting. So this is a really valuable pattern to learn. So let's get started. This has become quickly one of my favorite projects. So I've already started on the scarf. And you can see I'm quite a couple feet in. But what we really need is the technique here. So I am just using, and this is like Value brand because I knew I was going to be using a lot, and this was kind of going to be an experimental pattern for me, but just regular skein of black and white. And I'm not sure quite how much yarn this is going to take yet, but and this is an infinity scarf, so you make it longer than a regular scarf, but when I'm finished, I will let you know. That way you can measure that out, just in case you're buying yarn to give some holiday gifts. Okay, so right here, I've reached the end of this row, as you can see. So I've reached the end of this row with the white, and I'm coming back on the black, and I'll show you how to incorporate the yarn in a second. It's more important to first learn how to yarn over the other strand if you don't already know that. If you do, then my instructions are in the last post that I made on how to do this. But this is something that's a lot easier grasped when you see it visually. It took me seeing it visually to kind of understand what this was supposed to be. So obviously you turn your work, and you're working from two separate skeins at the same time. And I'm just using an H hook. This kind of yarn usually calls for an I, but you want to use a smaller hook than what's recommended for your yarn because you want to make a tighter stitch. So you want this to not move too much when you're stretching it, otherwise you'll lose the pattern. You want to make sure that it doesn't get outstretched and become this other looking thing. So, alright, now that I've talked you to death. So, like I've said before, this is just the alternating, essentially this pattern is just the alternating of single crochets and double crochets. So if you did single crochets and double crochets on one row, and of course you can make this, however much length that you want, you want it on the next row, single crochet over the double crochet, and you want to double crochet over the single crochet. So let me show you what I mean. So I'm crocheting with the black yarn in this row, and right here we've got a single crochet on this next one. So I want to do a double crochet on top of this one, and I'll show you what I mean by crocheting over the yarn. So I'm going to yarn over, I'm going to go into the yarn just as I would normally do, but I'm also going to put this yarn strand over as well. So I'm going to crochet over this extra yarn strand. So bring it through, of course, and do a double crochet. And so that's my double crochet. But this one is already a double underneath on the row. So we're going to do a single over this one. Oh, whoops. So just go in here, and again, go under this yarn so that you kind of keep it together, and you're going to work it all the way back through without making a bulky line from slip stitching back through. So we just work it in as we go. So this is just a single crochet, and then a double. I'm going to work this entire row. You can see that I'm just letting that yarn kind of come up with the row. I'm putting, obviously my black yarn is what I'm using to crochet with, but I'm just kind of putting this in alignment with the row so that when I crochet on the row, I'm crocheting over that yarn. Okay, now pay attention here, because this is where we're going to be changing the actual yarn color. So we've crocheted along over this white strand all the way to the end, doing my last single crochet, and the last one will be a double crochet, always. So you want to start out, of course, when you begin it, you're going to start out with a single crochet instead of a double crochet. So the last one is a double crochet. So you're going to do it just like you normally would, but when you have those last two on your hook, you're going to stop. So you keep these last two on your hook, but then you switch over to the white. So now you're going to grab the white yarn, twist it around your fingers because you're going to be crocheting with the white yarn, and you're going to pull it through. And then you're going to chain one to lock it into place, and that will also be your turning chain. Then you turn your work. At this point your yarn might get a little twisted, but it's not going to be tangled or become knots or anything, it's just going to be twisted. You can prevent that, of course, by flipping your work over every time that you change your rows. So you're going to be crocheting with the white now. So make sure that we go under here on this first one, and also bring the black yarn over and do our single crochet. Single crochet, double crochet, single crochet, double. Okay, so this is basically what you do. So you do your single crochets and your double crochets all the way across, and then you are also keeping that other yarn along as you go, so that when you get to the end, you change it in the last part of your double crochet. And then you single crochet and double crochet with that one on top of the alternating chains. And of course, when you're left with this, this is gonna, because you're, keeping the yarn and doing your turning chain, and you're gonna have this kind of funky, I think, looking end. Of course, you can leave it like this, but I would like to trim it in black slip stitches. I don't like to do single crochets because it adds a lot of length, and then this is going to be an infinity scarf, so I want it to kind of wrap up easily and not be too thick. So that pretty much covers everything. Simple. So you're going to chain across the length that you want, or the width that you want of whatever it is that you're doing. So if you're doing an afghan, you're going to chain, a bunch of chains across, however the length is that you want. And then when you go back, you'll chain one extra, and then when you go back, you'll single crochet, double crochet, single crochet, double crochet. And then when you go to the next one, next row after you change colors, you'll single crochet and double crochet over again, and you'll end up being right on top of the opposing single and double crochets, and that will work out perfectly. Now if you're wondering, okay, well, are there multiples to this? If you want to play it safe and use multiples, always do multiples of 3 for this one. And this, I think, is a great stitch. I didn't think I was going to like it because it's a stiffer stitch, and I usually don't do these kind of stitches for infinity scarves or scarves in general, because I like to have looser fitting scarves because it is so, sturdy. But I love the look of it, so we'll see. And when I have my finished product, I will let you know the measurement of how much yarn I've used, if I can go ahead and whip out something else with the rest of the yarn that I have. And I will also update in pictures how it looks. So thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more.